We don't just randomly ask you questions to make the test difficult. No, we'll never do that. We will only ask you a question because we are preparing for UPSC, right? We at Civilsdaily has classified all the questions from 1994 to 2020-25. This is the fifth most important thing that a test series should focus on. And what is that? It should be aligning it with the UPSC language. It should follow the UPSC pattern out there. And also, even the sentences and the language should be in line of UPSC as well. What about the language? How do we at Civilsdaily make sure that we are mimicking the UPSC language? Basically, what we do is we just mimic the UPSC question. Now, how do we do that? You can see here. Good day, everyone. Srisha here. Have you ever wondered how UPSC makes such beautiful questions? You know, when you compare UPSC with the state PSC examinations, state PSCs often ask you when was Gandhi born, in which state was Gandhi born. But then UPSC won't ask you that. UPSC asks such questions wherein the depth of knowledge is not required. But then you have to think about the question. You have to crack most of the questions using logical and elimination techniques, right? Let me show you a few questions. Now, you can pause the video here and try to find out the answer with these two questions as you can see here. Now, in the first question, with reference to the tea board in India, consider the following statements. The board is a statutory body. It might be a statutory body or it might be an executive body. Second one, it is a regulatory body attached to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It can be Agriculture and Farmers Welfare or it can be any other ministry. Third one, the tea board's head office is situated in Bangalore, or I would say Bengaluru. Now, if you know that, is tea produced in Karnataka for its headquarters to be in Bangalore? Now, if you compare the tea production, West Bengal has the most tea production in India, followed by Assam, and then you have Kerala, right? Now, if it is situated in, or if the most production is in West Bengal, Assam and Kerala, why would it be headquartered in Bangalore, right? Therefore, it might not be in Bangalore, it might be in Kolkata or Assam or even Kerala. Therefore, you can take the third statement as incorrect here. Now, the fourth option says that the board has overseas offices in Dubai and Moscow. Maybe, may not be. But then, since you have eliminated option 3, therefore 3 and 4 we can eliminate and also 1 and 3 can eliminate. Now we are left with two options, which is 2 and 4 only and 1 and 4 only. Therefore, 4 is obviously right answer. So here, the board has overseas offices in London and Dubai, which is correct. Now, if the board has overseas offices in Dubai and London, would it come under the Ministry of Commerce Industry or the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare? Obviously, if it has overseas offices, it is related to the export of commodities, right? Not related to the production of tea. Therefore, since it is related to commerce, especially export, there are more chances that it being the commerce and industry and not under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, right? Therefore, we can also take this one as incorrect. Therefore, the answer is 1 and 4 only. Now, this is the way that UPSC expect you to think in this question, right? Now, how does UPSC make such beautiful questions? You can see all these questions. You can attend it later. I don't want to waste your time. But then, how does UPSC make these questions? How does UPSC make questions so special? As I said before, it is not the understanding or it is not the deep knowledge that is required for us to eliminate these options, but then it is the UPSC is basically testing the level of thinking, or UPSC is testing that can a person under these 2 hours of intense pressure crack this question or be calm and crack this question. Now, this is exactly what Civilsdaily in its test series Dominate Prelims is also going to be testing. We are not going to be giving you deep subject level knowledge questions. Rather, we would be focusing on how UPSC makes questions. We would try to mimic the UPSC questions as well. Let me explain a bit more further. Now, what is the most important biggest mistake that most of you are doing? The one biggest mistake that actually cost your prelims last time was that you took the wrong test series. Now, why am I saying that? It's because that most of the test series here makes questions using AI, which doesn't often correlate with the UPSC kind of questions. Most of the questions that you have attended from free websites, which doesn't focus on logic, which doesn't focus on micro themes, or which doesn't focus on anything. Or also you must have attended questions from question banks of previous years, or maybe in 2020, 2019, wherein the pattern was very different from what we have in 2025. Now, attempting all these things or making all these mistakes must have cost you your attempt in 2025 or in 2024. Now, that is exactly what we at Civilsdaily want to change. You should not be taking those test series which does not align with what I have showed you. And what is UPSC do? It doesn't go very deeper into the topic. It doesn't give you very factual questions. It doesn't give you the most hardest questions out there that the test series provide you. But then it forces you to think. It forces you to think and make these logical and good elimination options, or go by your logic, or go by your intuition. Now that is exactly what we also want you to train you in. Now, by attending all these different test series, what are you losing? You might be thinking that you are not losing on anything. No, you're losing on a lot of things by attending all these different academies out there, different test series offered by different academies. The number one thing is the time that you're losing. You're wasting your time because these questions doesn't train you for UPSC, right? Now the second important thing, your mind is not trained for the UPSC level of thinking, because if the test series that you are attempting doesn't train you for the elimination techniques that UPSC asks you, what is the relevance of attending such basic test series? No, you should change attending all these test series. Now, as I told earlier, we at Civilsdaily are on a mission. Now, what is the mission? To align almost all the questions that we are making with exactly in pattern of UPSC. We make sure that every question that we make at Civilsdaily, it mirrors the exam structure, it has the exam tone, it has the exam's language, it has all the elimination techniques and the traps that UPSC most beautifully sets for you, and some of you fall in it and some of you don't fall in it, and you get to write the mains exam. Now, how do we make this? I'm not going to say some random things, rather I'm going to give you the proof on how Civilsdaily does it. The most important thing is that we at Civilsdaily has classified all the questions from 1994 to 2020-25. As you can see here, first, to align with the UPSC, what do you need to do? You need to study how UPSC sets the questions. Now, how do you find it? You basically analyze all the PYQs. Now, as you can see here, we have taken the questions, or we have made a list of questions from 1994 to 2025. We have basically analyzed all the questions here. We have subjectly distributed all the questions. You can see here: geography, economy, environment and biodiversity, modern history, Ashanti. So as you can see here, modern history, in this year 8 questions have come, but in 2014, 2024, only 3 questions were there. Even in 2022, 2023, only 5 questions were there. As you can see here, we have mapped all the questions in subject-wise method, which actually forces you, or which actually gives you an idea on which area to focus and which area to revise. Now, this is only on a subject basis, right? This is something that every other academy out there can do. But then we have also analyzed the type of questions, saying that 2-liner questions, single statement questions, all pair-based questions, not only basis, match the following, multi-liners. When we make a test series, we make it in that way that it aligns any of the PYQs. Let's say we don't just randomly give you, in a test series out there, we don't just randomly give you 50 single statement questions. Because if we give you 50 single statement questions, what will you do? You will be able to finish the question paper in less than half an hour. No, we won't do that. We will make sure that it aligns with any of the PYQs. Let's say we will be giving you 22 liners, 27 single statement questions, only 5 or only 4 pair questions, 10 only base questions, 28 multi-liners such as 3 statement questions, 4 statement questions. We will make sure when we make it a series that we align with the UPSC level of question-based techniques, or I would say the question basis. Now, the most important thing. We only ask you questions on the basis of micro themes. We don't just randomly ask you questions to make the test difficult. No, we'll never do that. We will only ask you a question because we are preparing for UPSC, right? We are preparing for the most important exam. And why would we randomly ask you questions in order to increase the difficulty of the question? No, we'll never do that. We will be asking you questions on the basis of micro themes. As you can see here, we have the most intelligent Airtable out there. We have mapped all the questions on the basis of micro themes. You can see here, in case of polity, judiciary comes the most important, followed by fundamental rights and duties, non-constitutional and DPSPs. Now here, we have also provided the most important micro themes. If you look at it here, the most number of questions in UPSC history has come from RBI functions and monetary policy. 36 questions have come. Pollution sources, 35 questions have come. Government programs, 32 questions have come. Now, these are the most important areas that you need to definitely study if you want to clear UPSC. Or let's say, in the last 10 days, what should you focus on? Shouldn't be focusing on the random things such as ancient medieval history, art and culture. No. What should you focus on? We should be focusing on all these important micro themes as we have listed down below. Now, as you can see here, this was one of the first core tests that we did. Okay, and these are all the important micro themes in related to polity. Now you can see here, this was the UPSC weightage in the last 10 years. You can see Indian Constitution historical evolution and the making of the Constitution has 6 questions. Now when we made the first polity core test examination, how much questions were asked? We only gave 3 questions from that. Silent features 12 times UPSC asked in the last 10 years. We gave 6 here. As you can see here, almost all the topics in our test have been aligned in relation with the number of questions asked by UPSC. So if you can see here, Union Executive and Legislature, in the last 10 years, 37 questions have been asked. Now, in our core test, Polity 1, how many questions have been asked from the same? We have asked 39 questions. So, as you can see here, we won't give you random questions from random topics. Citizenship, we won't be giving you 10 questions as provided by different academies out there. We will give you or provide equal importance or give you more importance to those topics which have been under the micro themes also in which UPSC asks you questions. We would be mimicking that. As you can see here, in terms of ancient and medieval history as well, what is the most important topic? You can see here, literature had the most number of questions, followed by medieval administration. You can also hear historic sites. 6 questions have been asked in the last 10 years. In terms of medieval administration, 9 questions have been asked in the 10 years. Now, if you have studied the micro themes before, you could have attempted these questions which I am going to show in 2025. Now, if you remember, what did UPSC ask in 2025? If you have studied the micro themes here, you would have got. Now, these are one of the most important themes, right? In terms of ancient history, you need to focus on the sites. You can see here, Dauli, Eragudi, Kadura, Chaul, Kantashala, Sohagura, Dolavira, Bursahom, Chahundaro, Ashoka. Now, what did UPSC ask in 2025? UPSC have focused on the exact micro theme here. UPSC have focused on the ancient history portions, and in which micro theme they have asked? They have asked about the sites question, right? So, Asmaga, Kambasha, Avanti, Koshala, UPSC have asked about the Mahajanpada sites here. Also, when it comes to modern history, what did we say was the most important micro theme? We said that administration was one of the most important micro theme, right, in relation to ancient and also medieval history. You can see here, different number of questions have been asked from the administration part in medieval history. Now, what did UPSC ask you in 2025? UPSC have asked about the same, right? Not related to medieval history, but then also related to ancient history. UPSC have asked about Pradeshika, Rajaga, and also Yukta. Now, what I'm telling you is that don't just randomly do question papers. You need to make sure that if the question paper doesn't align with the UPSC patterns, if the question paper doesn't align with the micro themes, you need to stop doing that test paper and focus on any other test paper which follows all these micro themes. Now, what about economy? You can see here, the most number of questions have come from RBI functions and monetary policy, right? RBI functions and monetary policy. The second biggest one was fiscal policy and budget. Now, what did UPSC mostly focus on in 2025 paper as well? You can see the most important micro theme in actually prelims is actually the RBI functions and the micro theme. Now, what did UPSC focus on in 2025 as well? You can see here, a number of questions have been asked from the Reserve Bank of India. Now, in case of 2025 as well, you can see two questions, basically two important questions coming from the Reserve Bank of India as well. Now, this is how important the micro themes are. If you want to clear prelims, you need to focus on these micro themes, and also make sure that the test series that you are attending has these micro themes, or else the academy doesn't have information about the micro themes and they're just randomly providing you some questions on the basis of their on their basis of their assumptions, I would say. Okay. So, third dimension, how do we make the best questions? It's by focusing on the question types, as I have already shown you before. Now, these are the different analytical things that we have made. You can see here two-liner questions, single-based questions, only pair, not only multi-liners. In 2024, they had 13 two-liners, single statement questions, 27 were there. Now, this is exactly what we follow at Civilsdaily as well. We don't just randomly give you 50 single statement questions and make your task easier and let you finish your exam in just 1 hour. No. If you want to manage your time, if you want to make sure you have the best time management, you need to focus on the UPSC pattern of questions, right? Even in 2025, there was n number of students that faced time management issues. Now, why did they face that? It's because they have not been trained in UPSC standard of setting questions. They must have been working in institutes, they must have been associated with the institutes which provides them 40 single statement questions or even 50 single statement questions. Now, what would happen in that manner? They'll think that, okay, I am good in my time management. Rather, we can't blame them, right? But then we can only blame the institute which makes these questions and doesn't prepare the students for the time management that the UPSC want you to try. Now here, this was our political test question. You can see here, 12 two statements, 27 single statements, 8 3 and 4 page statements, assertion 11 questions, multi-statements, 3 or more statements, 35, which is in closely aligned with the 2024 or even the 2025 paper. Okay, now this is this close. Every academy out there should be doing it, not just randomly selecting questions or asking questions on the basis of their assumptions. Now, what about the fourth thing? Now, this is one of the most important things that every academy out there should follow. We at Civilsdaily make sure that at least 30% of the questions, students are able to solve at least 30% of the questions by using the logical and elimination techniques. Now, because why does it happen like that? In case of UPSC, let me tell you, there are total of 100 questions. 60 would be almost content-based questions, okay? We can't apply any logic to that. But then, almost 35 to 40 questions can be solved by using logic. I'm not saying pure logic, but using your content plus logic, right? Now, what did we at Civilsdaily also do? We make sure the questions that we ask, at least 30% of the questions that we ask can be solved using the logical and elimination techniques. Now, we have mapped exactly 42 elimination and logical techniques out there. We have made a list of it: extreme statements, general and broad statements, correlation, contradictory statements, wrong bodies and organization, specific data is generally wrong. So here we have made a list of 42 logical elimination techniques out there, and we will be providing similar questions which you can solve on the basis of these logical and elimination techniques as well. Now, let me show you a very simple example regarding the same. Now, you must have seen several UPSC question papers, right? You must have seen several UPSC questions which provide you similar kind of options, right? Similar kind of options or even statements. Now, what should you do when similar options or even similar statements are provided? I'll show you an example so that you will get a better idea. So here you can see that UPSC in 2019 have provided What is terminal high altitude area defense third system, sometimes seen in news? You can see here an anti-Israel radar system, India's indigenous anti-missile program, American anti-missile system, and a defense collaboration between Japan and South Korea. Now, what are two similar options here? What are the two similar options here? You can see that also in option B and C, there is a word called anti-missile, right? Now, this has been repeated by UPSC in several times. UPSC mostly provide two similar options, and then what happens? Out of them, in almost 80% of the questions, or I would say even 90% of the questions, either of them would be correct. Either one of them would be the correct. Now, why do UPSC provide like that? UPSC basically UPSC basically wants to confuse you with the correct option, right? So what do? They provide an incorrect option which is actually similar to the correct option, right? Now, what is the logic here? When two similar options are provided, at least one of them would be correct, because UPSC wants you to confuse you with the correct option by providing an incorrect option. Now, this is the logic here. Even if you look here, certifying the skills acquired by construction workers through traditional channels, certifying the skills acquired by trainees under National Certification Program. Now, here also option A is correct, but then you will get confused with option A and D, because in both the questions, certification of skills is asked, right? Now, if you look at all these questions here also, Francois Bernier, Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, Jean D. Thévenot. Here also you can see that in both the names Jean is there. Therefore, either one of them would be correct, right? So such, if you look at all these questions, you have Lisa Pathfinder and Evolve Elisa. So one of them would be correct answer. UPSC has this tendency, as I said before. You can see here many transparent sheets, similar options, most of all. Effective area. National securities, national payments, electric plane, two-seater aircraft, high population density, high capital ratio, Internet of Things, Internet Protocol, region along the eastern Mediterranean shores, the entire coastal area along Mediterranean Sea. The best means of salvation was devotion, and the similar option, salvation was to be obtained through mediation. Both the options have salvation. Now, this is one of the logic, right? Now, how do we make questions then? We make questions in that manner that follows these kinds of UPSC logics, right? So, you can see here, in the 3% club question, you can see here, as a coalition of countries to achieve a 3% global increase in the energy efficiency each year. Also, even in the third option, as a coalition of countries to increase the area of millets. Here, as a coalition of countries is provided as a similar option. And the correct option is option A. We have followed the same UPSC logic here. Here also, in the context of India's freedom struggle, which of the following best statements describe the Naujawan Bharat Sabha? You can see here, option B and D is almost similar. It starts by saying the left-wing Indian association that is sought. In option D, it says right-wing Indian association that is sought to overthrow. In case of Bharat Naujawan Sabha, it is basically option B that sought to foment revolution against the British Raj by gathering together workers and peasant youths. Now you can see here how beautifully we try to integrate on all the UPSC logics here. And now I'm not going to explain all the 42 elimination techniques that we have listed, but then through example, I just want to show you how we at Civilsdaily things in UPSC point of view and try to make questions in the same manner. Now, marking questions in the line of same pattern. Now, this is the most important thing. This is what none of the academy out there actually trained you for. But then we try to follow the exact UPSC pattern that is itself even repeated in 2025 as well. I'll show you the patterns repeated. Now, what are the dimensions, or I would say, what is the fifth important thing that a test series Now, this is the fifth most important thing that a test series should focus on. Now, what is that? It should be aligning it with the UPSC language. It should follow the UPSC pattern out there, and also even the sentences and the language should be in line of UPSC as well. Now, what about the language? How do we at Civilsdaily make sure that we are mimicking the UPSC language? Basically, what we do is we just mimic the UPSC questions. Now, how do we do that? You can see here in 2020, UPSC have asked about Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in. We have tried to make the similar question. Rajya Sabha has equal powers in Lok Sabha. Similar question. Here, UPSC asked in 2020 about at the present level of technology, which of the above activities can be successfully carried out by using drones. Now, what we asked here? At the present level of technology, which of the above activities can be successfully carried out by using quantum computing? You can see here, we have tried to mimic UPSC by using the exact level of words, by using the exact same options that UPSC have given, by using the exact words. So every question made by us would be mimicking either or any of the UPSC questions which have been provided, which has been asked since 1994. Here also you can see here, UPSC in 2020 have asked about the carbon nanotubes. 4 options have been provided. You can see the options here. Now what have we asked? We have asked about nanobots. We have asked 4 options and we have exactly provided the 4 similar options. Now this is how we mimic the UPSC questions and try to give you the UPSC language, try to give you the UPSC feeling while attempting the questions as well. The same benzene pollution, we have asked about lead pollution. Which of the following protected areas are located in Kaveri Basin? We have asked which of the following tiger reserves are located in Western Ghats. Here, in which one of the following groups are the 4 countries of members of G20? Now we cannot ask G20, right? Because this was asked because Argentina was actually hosting G20, therefore A was the answer. Now what did we ask you in 2024 for the 2025 prelims? We basically asked you which of the following countries are members of North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now this question actually came in the 2025 prelims. UPSC have basically asked by providing 6 options. Among these, how many of the above are members of NATO? Now this was actually a proud moment for us as well. Now what are the patterns? Now, you can be skeptical of what I'm saying now, but then let me tell you, there are different patterns that UPSC follow. In case of pair only questions, in case when 5 statement questions are asked, also in case of when 4 statement questions are asked. Now, you don't need to exactly follow what I'm saying here. Rather, in case of a doubt between 3 or 4 options, in case when a doubt arises, you need to follow the UPSC pattern. Now, let me tell you, what should you do when 5 or more statements are asked? What does UPSC do? Now here, you can see a 5 statement question here, right? Now what was the answer to this question? You can pause the video. The answer was basically 1, 2 and 4. Now there were 5 options here, 5 statements here. Out of that 3 came to be correct, right? Here 5 options are given. The answer is 1, 3 and 4. So therefore option B is the answer. Here 1, 2, 3 is the answer. 48 benzene pollution, 1, 2, 3 was the answer. 25, 5th question. Microwaves within stoves won't come, so 3 won't come. So therefore 1 to 4 is the answer. In all these questions, when 5 statements or even 5 options are asked, 3 turned out to be the answer. Now this is one of the pattern that UPSC follows, okay? If I am to show you the last 10 years question paper, if you look at the last 10 years question paper, this is 5, 5, 5, 5. Now what should you do when 6 statements are asked? UPSC usually have a habit of providing 2 statements incorrect. Okay, so when 5 statements are asked, 3 would be the right. When 6 are asked, 4 would be right. And even when 7 are asked, 5 would be right. Now why does UPSC increase the number of statements? UPSC just could provide 3 statements and make all of them right? Now why would they provide more statements? It's basically to make them incorrect. Not in all cases, but in most of the cases. So here, as you can see, a lot of questions have been asked. And let me tell you that in the past 8 years, excluding 2024, 2027, 27 questions were asked. Apart from the 6 exemptions, in all the other questions, 2 of them have been incorrect. That is, when 5 are asked, 3, 6, 4, and when 7 questions are or even statements are asked, 5 turned out to be correct. Even in 2023, in this question, only 2 was correct. So it didn't match with the pattern here. But the 29 question, as you can see in the right, only 3 was the right answer. In 2024, parasitoids can be found in how many of the above? Now, in this kind of questions, you tend to have a confusion, right? Let's say you have a confusion between only 3 and only 4. And this is a 5-statement question. Which option should we go to? We should be going by the UPSC pattern and therefore going with only 3. Now, even in this question as well, there were 5 options and the answer was Italy, Japan and South Korea. Therefore, only A was the answer, which actually matches with the UPSC pattern. What about 2025? Did UPSC follow the same pattern in 2025? Let us look into it. Now here, how many of the countries are members of NATO? In this question, only 4 was the right answer. So 6 options were given and only 4 was the right answer. In this question, in this question, Andes Mountains pass through how many of the above countries? Here also only 4 was the right answer. Cassava, ginger, Malabar spinach, mint, papaya. In this question also 5 statements are asked. Therefore 3 was the correct answer. Consider the following countries in which UPI is used. Now, in which all countries which UPI is used? You have Arab Emirates, you have France, and you have Singapore. Also in this question, there are 5 statements and the pattern says 3 would be correct. Here also, only 3 was the right answer. Now, I am not saying it always works, but let me tell you, in case if you have a doubt between only 2, only 3 and only 4, it's always better to go with the UPSC pattern, that is 5 statements, 3 would be the right answer. But in case of this, how many of the above countries have more than 4 time zones? Here in this question, only 4 was the answer. Therefore, in this question, it did not work out. Okay, so what I'm telling you is, we tried to mirror this pattern as well. So mostly when the 5 statement questions are asked, now I am giving away you the answer, right? Okay, in Civilsdaily, when 5 questions are asked, in almost, let's say 80% of the questions, only 3 would be the right answer. Okay, it doesn't mean that you should randomly give the answer to the question. Okay, you should read about the question. Now, what about when 4 statements are asked? There is also a pattern to this one. And I am talking about the sentences, not the simple words such as Vamsadhara, Intravadi, Pranpita or Penna. These are such 4 simple words. I am talking about the 4 sentences asked. Now, what do you do when 4 sentences questions are asked? You can see here, n number of 4 statement questions are asked by UPSC, right? N number of 4 statement questions are asked by UPSC. You have all these questions. I am talking about big sentences, okay? Not some mushrooms are this one, some snakes are herbivores, some fishes are herbivores. I'm not talking about simple words or even small sentences. I'm talking about big sentences such as this. Now, let me tell you, in the last 10 years, if we were to take, in none of the 4 statement questions, all 4 have been correct. Now, this is a pattern that UPSC haven't broken in the last 11 to 12 years. Okay, so even if you look at the 2024 questions as well, you had a lot of questions wherein all 4 options were given. But in none of the questions, all 4 was the right answer, saying that UPSC have basically stick to its pattern in 2024 and in 2025 as well. Now, that was 2023 basically. In 2025 as well, you had a question regarding the non-promotion program, right? Now, here also on all the 4, even if you had a doubt between only 3 and all the 4, you should have gone with only 3 because in statement questions, UPSC have never given all the 4 as the right answer. Now, this is how the pattern works. Now, in case if Civilsdaily asks you a 4 pattern question, what should you do? We are training you to align with the UPSC pattern, that doesn't mean that we won't change it, okay? We might trick you at sometimes, especially predicting UPSC is impossible, right? So UPSC might change this pattern. We won't be changing this pattern, but then let's say to trick you, we might giving you one or two questions as incorrect. Now, every academy out there should take these factors. They should be asking questions from the micro themes. They should be aligning you with the actual number of questions in single statement, multi-statement, and all these statements are there. They should be asking you logical and elimination questions. They should be following the UPSC pattern. Let me tell you, if the academy that you're going to take, or if the academy that you have previously taken doesn't do this, doesn't ask you questions from the micro themes and take questions from the random themes and make the questions difficult. I don't want to name the academy, but I hope all of you know it. You have students getting 30, 40, 50 marks, even the best students getting 50 to 60 marks in those papers. Now, why do academy do this to students? Why do they do it? They don't train you in the logical and elimination techniques that UPSC follows. They don't train you in the UPSC patterns. They don't provide you questions from the micro themes. Then why are you, or why should you take these questions or take these test series from these academies? Let me tell you, if you want to clear prelims in 2026, you need to follow what I said right now. You only should choose those academy which actually follows the 5 different factors that I have said right now. Or else, as I said in the beginning, you're wasting your time. You are not trained in UPSC model of thinking. You are not trained in UPSC model of questions, and you are not trained in the UPSC model of elimination and logical techniques. Also, let me give you what our X factor is as well. I'll give you one more X factor. Now, what does the X factor means? It means that we also provide you UPSC PYQ related content questions. Also, we give you questions from those areas which is there in the NCERT, which actually aligns with the UPSC model of sourcing questions as well. I'll show you with the examples. Now, what does previous content questions means? Now, UPSC has this habit of repeating the PYQs, right? Now, in our test series as well, we will be repeating some of the PYQs, not in the exact PYQs, but then the content related to the PYQs. Now, if you can see here, in 2019, UPSC asked about on 21st June the sun. The same question has been asked by UPSC in 2024. The northern hemisphere around the longest day of year normally occurs in. Now, in 2024 as well, UPSC have asked about the same thing on June 21 every year. So, in one of the, let's say we are providing you 100 questions, at least 5 of them would be related to the PYQ based content as well in almost all the tests. 2021, polyethylene terephthalate has been asked. 2022, you can see here, UPSC have again asked regarding the polyethylene terephthalate. That is basically mimicking the previous year question. Here, UPSC in 2019 have asked about the bluefin mahseer. Now, since bluefin mahseer is naturally found in Kaveri River, it is a fish, right? It is not a bird. Now, in 2022, UPSC have asked which of the following is not a bird. Therefore, you can directly take the answer as golden mahseer. It's basically that simple. In 2021, it was during the reign of Iltutmish that Genghis Khan reached fugitive index. UPSC is saying that the first Mongol invasion happened during the reign of Iltutmish because Genghis Khan actually reached Indus in pursuit of the Khorasan prince. Now, what did UPSC ask in 2022? The first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khilji. Now, if Genghis Khan reached Indus, it was the first invasion, right? Now, how would this happen as the first invasion? The same question in a different manner. Chairman of Public Sector Banks, Banksburg Bureau in 2019. UPSC have repeated the same in 2022, asking a question regarding the Banksburg Bureau. 2021. Now, this is one of the most beautiful examples that I always love to say. Okay, you can see the excitement in me. Here, 2021 UPSC have asked, Central Groundwater Authority was formed under the Environment Protection Act. Right. Now, what did UPSC ask in 2022? Which of the following has been constituted under Environment Protection Act? Now, in the 2021 question, UPSC have said CGW, Central Groundwater Authority, was found under the Environment Protection Act. In a statement of Now in 2022, UPSC have asked the same question. Which of the following is constituted under Environment Protection Act? Now you have the answer here, the Central Groundwater Authority. You can directly go with C. Now this is the importance of PYQs, okay? We'll make sure that at least 5 questions resembles or have the similar pattern or have the similar topic in which was asked in the previous years or in the preceding years. Here, Catalonia 2018 Spain, you can see here Catalonia Italy is asked. Under 2 coalition child rights in 2022, International NGSC Secretary to Under 2 coalition, UPSC has the same thing. Here, the rise of Prathiharas under King Boja, 2022 UPSC has the same, but then Boja is given Rashtrakuta. No, it is Gujar Prathiharas and not Rashtrakuta. Now this is the importance of PYQs, I don't want to say more, but then you have a number of questions regarding the same, okay? Also, regarding the maps, you know, most of the academies out there just randomly provide you questions from the NCERTs. Now it's good to give you questions from the NCERTs because UPSC mostly source all of the questions, at least 30 questions in a year from the NCERTs only. But then, apart from the regular sources, such as the tests given in NCERTs, we would also be focusing on some of the crucial areas. Now what are the crucial areas? It's basically the maps, boxes, and also the tables which is given in the NCERTs. If you look here, this was a question asked in 2013, right? 2023. Limonite and rutile, abundantly available in certain coastal tracts of India, are rich source of which of the following? Now we can logically also get this answer by saying that it is situated in certain coastal tracts. Now aluminum is not situated in coastal tracts. Copper is in K3 mines of Rajasthan. Iron is basically in the Chota Nagpur plateau. Therefore, you will get titanium as the answer here. You can directly go with titanium. But then, where do you think that UPSC took this option from? UPSC has taken the question from a box in the 8th standard NCERT, right? Now, if you can see here, a bright smile from toothpaste and minerals. Now, there's a box here. Now, in this box, you can see here that fluoride, which is used to reduce cavities, comes from a mineral called fluoride. Most of the toothpaste are made with titanium oxide, which comes from a mineral called rutile and limonite. Now see where the UPSC sourced this question. UPSC sourced this question from a box which was given in the NCERTs. Now this is how we will also train you for. We will make sure that we leave out or we doesn't leave out any of the boxes. We'll make sure that I'll make sure that all of the boxes are covered by us in the test series that we are going to make. Even this one, with reference to Madanapalle of Andhra Pradesh, which of the following statements is correct? From where did UPSC source this question? You can see here, option is 3 is the answer. Now here, in every NCERT, the first page is dedicated to the national anthem, right? Now you can see here, Janaganamana was translated by Guru Rabindranath Tagore from Bengali to English from Madanapalle in the district of Chittoor. UPSC have taken the question from NCERT, but then this is something we always skip, but then we'll make sure that we'll cover all these less important areas. Maps, Korkai Pomhor Mushiri, you can see here Pomhor, Danyagadaga, you can see Danyagadaga here. So again, UPSC have taken the question here, Danyagadaga as you can see here. This one, concept of stupa is Buddhist in origin. Stupa was generally a repository of relics. Now this actually comes from the statement given here. But I want to focus you that what is given in the table here. Why were the stupas built? What are we to do, Lord, with the remains of Tathagata, another name of Buddha? Now this was exactly asked in 2024, right? You can see here the term Tathagata is given here. So you have n number of questions, okay? I am saying n number of questions, which is asked from the figures, asked from the tables, asked from the maths. And most students actually leave these areas. Now we won't let you leave these areas because we are going to be providing you questions exactly on the basis of these figures, maps, tables given in the NCERTs so that you don't have to read everything. You can see here Baja. You can see related to unwanted areas, not so relevant areas such as in Indian history, Alexander Rhea, A.S. Longhurst, Robert Sewell, James Burgess. It's related to the archaeological excavations. You can see here in themes, they have given water Eliot, this commissioner of Guntur visited Amaravati and collected several scriptures and panels to Madras. These came to be basically known as the Eliot marbles. So they were basically related to archaeological excavations. Another from UPSC, another from the map, you can see here, another from the picture, reservoir of Dolavira. UPSC asked about the same in 2020, Dolavira question. Even in 2025, UPSC have asked about the Mahajanpadas, right? Now Mahajanpada is given here. Now here, the irrigation device was called Aragatta. UPSC has given the same in a picture here. This is basically what is meant by Aragatta. Now, I said before, we will make sure that either you focus on this or even you don't focus on this. We will provide you the questions that will give you the content from all the figures, from all the boxes, from everything which you might skip even in the NCERTs. So you can see here, we also have made several questions regarding the same. Now this is a map question that everyone can make, but then we have always covered the important portions and also the not so relevant areas that you think is not so important even in the NCERTs. Now, what differentiates us from the other mocks out there? As you have seen, we always follow these 5 important principles. First one, PYQs. Second one, focusing on micro themes. Third one, the question composition. Fourth one, the logical and elimination techniques. And the fifth one, the language and also the pattern. And also we focus on the PYQ related content, and also we give you those questions from the NCERTs which you don't focus that well. Now what does the other regular academies do? They just provide you random questions with no focus on the micro themes and no other analytical thinking or analytical backing of their own. Random is not rigorous, right? You are not trained for the UPSC 2026. No pattern mapping is there, no logical collaboration is there, no UPSC patterns are there. They'll just give you 5 statements and make all of them correct, which UPSC rarely do. Just by giving you hard questions, it's not that useful. That question should be able to make you think. Should be able to make you think in UPSC manner. That is what matters, not just giving you hard questions and saying that, okay, the questions were hard, the academy is not good. No, that is not the best academy. The best academic questions are those which makes you think. Now, what I want to conclude is that if you want to get a test series, as I have said, which focus on these 5 important areas, which is especially most important for you to clear prelims in case of 2026, you need to join the test series, which actually follows 5 these principles. And we at Civilsdaily make sure that we always follow these 5 principles. You can attend a random mock here if you want, and make sure that and get the level of understanding that, or get the level of questions that will train you to crack the 2026 prelims as well. So if you're serious about 2026 prelims, train it in like a real method. Don't just randomly take questions which doesn't train you. Rather, let's build the logic. Let's beat UPSC. And I would say, if you want to clear, join Dominate Prelims 2026. Our first test is finished. It doesn't matter. You can always take the previous base test. So the second test is coming on July 4th, which is the Polity Core 2. You can come here, you can attend the exam, and you make sure you will get the actual UPSC feeling, which I have said will be focusing on the micro themes, the logics, the pattern. So if you have any doubts regarding the same, comment below. We will reach out to you. And I said before, let's move together, because I will be mentoring you in case you join Dominate Prelims as well. Now, in case of me, I had 62 mentees in previous year. Out of that, 16 students have cleared, and most of my mentees have become toppers, such as Benjo, Nevin, Nasrin, and many others. I'm actually known for my logical techniques in Kerala. Now here I'm in Delhi to make a difference here. Now I'll be heading the Civils test series in Civilsdaily, and I'll make sure that all the questions are refined and up to the UPSC standards. Now, do join Dominate Prelims if you want to clear, and I hope you